we're going to talk about Charlie Kirk. He's been visiting the UK and he has not been impressed. For those who don't know him, he's an American conservative who goes around the US debating students on every issue possible, from abortion to DEI to Trump. In fact, such is his monumental following and influence, he has been credited with helping Donald Trump enter the White House for a second time. This week, he visited GB News for a sit-down interview with Ben Leo and debated UK students at Oxford and Cambridge, and he wasn't impressed. In fact, upon his return to the US, he said, "If you want to renew your love of America, spend 3 days in the UK. You will kiss the ground when you get back home." So let's take a listen to some of the highlights from his debates that may have led him coming to this conclusion.
I'm sorry, our two countries are the two least racist countries ever to exist in the history of the world, and
you promised to put America first. Haven't you and your ilk sold America out?
Donald Trump is convening a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. Joe Biden gave them armaments.
That's going well, isn't it? It's going well.
Can you not interrupt me?
Well.
I allowed you to talk uninterrupted. Do you think women are happier than they were 40 years ago?
I think I would have a few responses to that. I think that women report more stress and dissatisfaction today because, not because they have more rights or because of feminism, but because they're under dual pressure to both excel professionally and also because of the domestic labour in homes that is structured around outdated expectations.
That last person in the debate was my wife, actually. So, joining me now to discuss Charlie Kirk's positions, whether he's right that the UK has fallen, and even the state of debate in universities, please welcome Oxford University students Daniel Ogolama and Anya Trofimova. Hello, welcome. Look at these guys. I don't remember, when I was at university, I don't remember everyone being so as well-dressed and handsome as you two. Things have changed. So welcome. First things first, Daniel, were you aware before he visited of Charlie Kirk and what he does?
Yes, I was aware of Charlie Kirk before he visited, definitely. And when they said that he was going to be debating about Trump, I decided to go on the opposition and debate alongside him.
Cool. Was he nice?
He's a nice chap.
He's a good guy. And what about yourself, Annie? Have you seen his clips online on social media?
Yes, absolutely. So I was one of the people bringing Charlie Kirk to Oxford as Vice President of the Oxford Union. So I'm responsible for individual speaker invitations, and it was wonderful to have him and to be able to debate against him in the debate as well.
OK, well, let's talk about that. So do you agree with his position? Now, we saw a few clips there. There's a lot we could get into. Generally, do you follow his politics or not?
I don't personally align with Charlie Kirk's politics. That's not to say that I think there isn't an important conversation to be had. And inviting him to the Oxford Union was obviously part of that conversation, part of an effort to platform real engagement with free speech. Mm-hmm. It's something that is, I think, at the core of our society and of our university as well. And as someone who has a background in competitive debating, I can only see that there's immense educational and political value in being able to debate such people at such a young age, you know, in university, and be able to learn from that experience as well.
Fair enough. Daniel, did you find that do you think most students would agree with that? Because that seems like a very reasonable position. We're here, we're on a TV show called Free Speech Nation. I think we all kind of agree with that sentiment. But do you think that that's the reality amongst students today in the UK?
Not necessarily. I think it's becoming very unpopular to have conservative views, especially amongst university students at places like Oxford and Cambridge, for example. I mean, students are turning quads into pro-Palestine protests, and they're, forcing the universities to cut their financial ties with Israel. I mean, if you're a person who has conservative views and you are maybe, you're going to be afraid of kind of pushing those values out there and pushing those views out there. So I don't think that there is enough opportunity for people to have free speech and open debate. I think actually university students are being kind of forced into siding with liberal left views.
Do you think there's truth to that? That seems to be what the impression is. I mean, obviously you have your society and that you're in that world, but do you see that there is this kind of censorship, this need of to conform amongst other students?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think in every educational space, there is going to be social pressure, especially during sort of the formative years when maybe people haven't quite solidified in their political beliefs or in their views. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think an awareness of social repercussions of things that can be said is something that is important. It's part of a learning process, and it's an important part of the university's culture as well. I don't think that there has been too much restriction of free speech at Oxford, so I'm very lucky to be part of that society.
OK, well, talking about the actual debating itself, did anyone, because you were up there, you were standing alongside him, did anyone ever come up to you afterwards and say, you know what, you actually changed my mind?
100%. I mean, I think there was about over 400 people in the chamber at the time. And of course, the proposition won, 252, but the opposition got 92 votes. And I think me and Charlie were standing in the Gladstone room after the debate, and we said, wow, we actually turned a lot of people's perspectives through our propositions. And yeah, I think it was quite interesting to see a lot of people come up to me after and say, look, amazing speech, you really done well, and I've changed my perspective.
Do you think that Charlie Kirk has techniques that he uses? Do you I mean, I watched a lot of his clips online, and he seems to be a very good communicator. Also, he seems to know a lot of stuff. That helps.
I definitely can't deny. I think he's a great public speaker. He's very good at capturing the audience, captivating their attention, and that is quite rare for someone that is able to engage a popular audience in something that could be considered high politics or inaccessible to people. At the same time, I also think he's probably very educated and able to engage with the recent headlines. But I do think a lot of his language is very sensational. It sort of potentially is a dog whistle to specific audiences. And that in itself is a little worrying to me.
OK, well, let's talk about some of that language. He's talked about getting back to America and kissing the ground. Do you think that's hyperbole? Do you think that the UK is really that bad? I don't. No. I think we've got problems, but I'm very proud of being British, and I think that we have a lot going for us. I just think we need to do a bit of tweaking. I think that's a bit extreme to say, getting back to the US, I'll kiss the ground and it's better than the UK and so on and so forth. I do get where he's coming from, though. I do get the sense that conservatism in the UK is like it's being witch hunted. It's not acceptable in most communities, and I think the media aren't doing a good job in helping people with conservative views within the UK promote their beliefs. So I do get why he would go back to the US and kind of say, look, UK is a hellhole. And I saw his TikTok where he put out a lot of images of protests and people being violent on the streets and things like that, and most of them are left-wing leaning, so I get why he would say that. Did you get any stick for hosting him? Did anybody come up to you and say, you shouldn't be putting this guy out there?
Yeah, I think there's always a sense that, particularly controversial speakers or people that have, divisive views should not be platformed. But we are very kind of adamant that we, as a free speech society, we should be platforming these views and at least engaging with them and in constructive debate, because there's a lot to be learned from that.
Yeah, I don't know whether the situation is getting better or worse on the ground. I'm not in universities, my children are too young to go there. Do you think that there is still a very captured generation of yours? Is there a way out of it? Do you think they will change their mind on certain views?
I think it's going to be quite difficult. And student perspectives are shaped by global and societal issues, yes. But I do think that perspectives are shaped by lecturers as well. And lecturers, the Telegraph put out a report saying that 8 out of 10 British lecturers are left-wing. And, of course, the Adam Smith Institute put out a report as well that says people who do pursue a career in academia have traits that are synonymous with creativity, curiosity, and they're open to experiences, which is what people who have left-leaning views naturally have. So these are people who are tutoring and speaking to students every single week. At Oxford and Cambridge, you have the tutorial system, where you submit an essay and you sit down with a tutor for 1 or 2 hours every single week. So imagine tens of hours for your 3-year degree, having a one-on-one with a left-wing tutor. Essentially, your views are going to be changed. And that's, I think, what's happening. So I think we're in trouble in terms of university students.
Do you agree with that? Do you think that there is this kind of mono perspective coming sort of on a top-down route to students?
Yeah, I completely empathise with what you've said about there being the views of university students being dictated by the culture that they're in. I wouldn't say that there is a specific lean towards left-wing views or that is disproportionate or perhaps damaging. In fact, I think, I've been in a very lucky position of all of the tutors that I've had have been not only incredible academics, but very willing to be challenged on their views and very willing to challenge me on my views as well. That's something that has not only cemented my educational progress, but I think it's also something that has given me the confidence to be able to speak against people that I disagree with, but also to find areas of similarity. And I think it's ultimately that conversation, that productive sort of understanding that you can have across differences that is really built up at the university level, and that goes both for both lecturers and for students.
I mean, I agree with you with everything you're saying. I agree that that's the ideal. I just wonder if that's where we're really at. I think if you were to go in and start arguing with a tutor or a lecturer that you think that there are only two sexes, whether they're necessarily going to be amicable with you, whether you're even going to be feel safe to be able to express those kind of views.
Well, I had the privilege of debating my tutor in the Charlie Kirk debate. She was on the same bench as me, but I think that's an incredible opportunity to be able to, sit side by side with your tutors, discuss issues that are some of the most pressing issues of our day. And I would say that ultimately, Oxford or these educational institutions we're so lucky to be part of give us the confidence to stand up for our beliefs, no matter whether or not our tutors agree with them or disagree with them.
Fair enough. Daniel, did you feel the confidence from performing? Is that what you got, being able to be out there and debating your position? Did it help you, do you think?
Certainly. Again, the Oxford Union is a bastion of free speech, and it is a place where you feel safe to have your views, of course with a lot of security outside. But yes, I did feel safe, and I was happy with the result and happy at the fact that people were able to say, look, I've changed my mind. Well done.
Fair enough. Well, look, one day I imagine both of you will be running the country, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. So thank you very much. Please, build a round of applause.